I'm doing TommyKay News. It is finished.
More National Guard troops are now in the nation's capital as part of the Trump
Why is there only National Guards everywhere all the time? What's going on?
administration's federal takeover are now on the way tonight. This comes as the White House says troops already in Washington, D.C. may soon be taking new steps to...
All I know is I saw an article that stated that these soldiers are misbehaving. They're like being rude and stuff. That's something I read, but that's all I know.
Secure the area and protect themselves.
Good evening, Natasha. White House officials tell me tonight that National Guard troops patrolling here in our nation's capital may soon start carrying weapons. This is a major shift after officials previously said the troops would not be armed on
why? What's going on?
DC,
why?
But would instead have access to their weapons.
Thank you,
on now, the crime crackdown, though, not only adding weapons, but also more boots on the ground from a neighboring state, actually. West Virginia announcing today it's sending roughly 300 to 400 troops to the Capitol to help the president in his fight against crime here. Now, the Department of Defense actually explaining the increase in force to News Nation.
So the first feeling, I know nothing about this. The first feeling is that this feels a bit fascist. You act like there is a lot of crime. I gotta send the army, guys. Okay, okay.
Saying, quote, the Secretary of Defense is authorized to mobilize additional National Guard forces as needed in coordination with state governors who may be asked to augment this mission.
Trump is using a lot of army everywhere and shit. It is a bit weird, right? It is a bit weird. Okay, one sec. I really am ultra uninformed, man. I have no idea what's going on. Explain why the National Guard is deployed in Washington, D.C. right now. So, on August 11th, 6 days ago, I didn't know nothing about this. Trump invoked Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act, declaring a public safety emergency and placing the Metropolitan Police Department under federal control. This allowed them to assume command over D.C.'s police forces and deploy federal agencies to patrol the streets. Already a bit weird if a president can take the ultimate control over a police force. As we learned in school, executive, judicative, and legislative should always be separate from each other. Deployment and expansion. Initially, 800 National Guard troops were stationed in D.C. with 100 to 200 on duty at any given time. It's not that much. In response to escalating concerns and requests from the administration, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Ohio, all Republican states, committed additional forces. My main question would be if they actually help with crime. That would be interesting. The White House frames this as a protective measure, guarding... But again, man, in the history of fascism, we had this very often. Don't worry, people! I'm sending the army to take care of you. Don't worry, nothing weird. A little bit weird history there. A federal official stated that troops may be armed if necessary. They're currently not armed. The deployment comes amid rising tensions over federal overreach. Violent crime in D.C. is actually at a 30-year low, contrary to the administration's crime rate rationale. Fascist USA before GTA 6, man. What the fuck? Community advocates argue that addressing violence requires investment in social programs, not a militarized response. Makes a lot of sense. Former law enforcement officers and DC officials have criticized the move as politically motivated and constitutionally questionable, pointing to concerns about undermining local autonomy. Researchers say there's virtually no precedent or data indicated that National Guard can effectively reduce violent crime in urban settings, particularly in everyday policing roles. Using military forces for crime control is practically unheard of and untested. As always, man, I know I sound like a fucking liberal, man, but the arguments are pretty anti-Trump here, as they often are. A former FBI agent noted the presence of National Guard may have short-term impact, but emphasizes they are not equipped or trained for long-term civilian police responsibilities. Violent crime in DC has declined by 26% since 2024. So there's no way, shape, or form a reason to send the National Guard. Recent statistics show, often I think it seems to me a little bit here, conspiracy theorist. Trump is just trying very, very hard to make everyone think about anything else than the Epstein list. He wants you to think about, I'm going to Alaska, we're gonna meet in Alaska. There's no list. What are you talking about? Experts like Aquila Sherrills and Frederick Womack argue that real safety comes from community investments. I mean, obviously, yeah. Not visibility of armed forces. Yeah, it's like a police state, man. It's like the fucking Combine on a Half-Life.
These protesters chanting Free DC. They're unhappy, of course, with the federalization of DC. And, of course, also this show of force in our nation's capital, specifically the National Guard recently being brought in.
Crazy how people are against cleaning up the capital and reducing crime even more. I mean, we kind of just figured out, and logically might come to this conclusion, that a National Guard doesn't have the training and possibilities to reduce crime. Like, they just kind of show presence. They're more like a presence, which could maybe help. But then again, I would believe, and we all learned that in the first fucking grade of political science in school, that when an army has to be called to do something like that, that's like a bit weird. I have no idea what happened in Alaska. Also, the only thing I do is I read headlines every day on German news, and I saw nothing about Alaska. What happened there? What did they talk about? I saw nothing.
We also got these new numbers released today showing overnight that law enforcement in D.C., they actually arrested 52 people, bringing those total arrests since Operation.
Oh yeah, Washington, D.C. arrests since August 7. Okay. They made 240 total arrests, including 103 undocumented migrants, 50 on Friday night, 3 legal firearms seized on Friday night, law enforcement personnel involved. But the question in this, that's this. So this is what happened. But is that what normally happens? Is it more than normal?
Now, many of those people that were arrested were actually illegal immigrants. So we're getting some more numbers there. And there were also 1,800 officers involved in these operations. We know there's also 16 different federal agencies involved here. Now, the DOJ, they've got a lot on their plate. They're also charging this former trial lawyer and contractor for what you can see happening in this video.
A guy got charged by hitting a guy with a Subway sandwich. Trump posted a video of the police raiding that guy and posted it on Truth Social.
This video quickly going viral, if you haven't seen it already, showing the former DOJ.
The world is going utterly insane, man, right? The world is going completely insane.
Hitting a law enforcement officer with a Subway sandwich. Now, that man, he has since been released from custody, but he is, of course, facing these felony assault charges, which could land him in prison for up to 8 years, Natasha.
All right, Libby Dean live at the White House with that. Thank you.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen.
There should be 800 National Guard walking in here and taking the guy into fucking custody. That will should fucking happen, dude. I saw only a picture that when Putin left the plane, American military personnel had to salute and stuff, or had to like welcome him with something. Dude, imagine that, man. Imagine that. Imagine like a British soldier in 1943 and you have to be like, "Hello, Hitler, nice to see you in London." They knelt in front of him to roll out a red carpet. They yelled at Zelensky in the White House, and for him, they made a red carpet. Putin was also allowed to ride in the president's car. Is the world going insane? Sometimes do you guys have that too, where lately I look at this and I have an opinion, like this is bad, but it still happens, and I'm like, am I losing my mind? Am I going insane? What's going on? Are we all going insane? Jesus fucking Christ. They even made a plane flyby for Putin. I saw that. Is that the real one or one of the doubles? Man, dude, this is... Man, I don't know if I'm going mental, man. The world is getting... Sometimes like it's hard for the human mind to handle this, man. Like how crazy the world is getting. Sometimes I think Mossad and Putin, they have proof that Trump is on the Epstein list. So Trump has to suck their dicks a bit or something. Here's the car scene. Is it weird that he's in the same car? Is it normal they should be in the same car so they can talk to each other?
Pussy!
This is like fucking exhausting me a bit. It's exhausting me. Am I just a snowflake? I don't know anymore. I don't know what's going on anymore, man. So what did they discuss though? What happened there? What is the outcome? This one shows
details following that historic summit in Alaska. No ceasefire agreed to. And now we've learned Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is heading to the White House on Monday. President Trump saying the best way to end the war is to seek a peace agreement instead of starting with the ceasefire he had initially endorsed. After years of global isolation.
Why do you bring politics to the stream? Because we live in a fucking hardcore world where the world is going more and more insane and politics affect all of us. You cannot be a little bitch and just hide from what's happening in this world. Because once we all do this, it's already over. We're living in a fucking communist or fascist state within 10 years. You gotta fucking inform yourself and keep your brain up there, even though it's hard sometimes. Because once we all give up, man, they already won.
Vladimir Putin was given the red carpet treatment. This new video showing the U.S. Air Force escorting Putin's presidential jet from Alaska.
This is fucking insane, man. Volodymyr Zelensky, they say, why don't you wear a suit? Have you said thank you? And for them, the red... Damn. I often like to think about the world in a history book in 100 years, and I think the history books will be like, what the fuck did they do, bro?
Also learning tonight that President Trump hand-delivered a letter to Putin from First Lady Melania Trump and the concerns she raised about children. President Zelensky posting on social media.
Look at that sexy man, bro. He looks like a law student that gets all the girls.
That he spoke with President Trump for about an hour today before European leaders joined the call. But tonight, there are still more questions than answers about what it will take to bring peace to the region.
Tonight, President Trump is back in Washington preparing for his Monday meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky as new details emerge from his historic summit with Vladimir Putin.
Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon.
Historic summit, all this infrastructure, all this investment, and you came to no conclusion? You'll just fucking call the guy on Skype.
Soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
ABC News is learning that behind closed doors, Putin demanded full control of the Donetsk region of Ukraine in exchange for freezing the conflict. Trump shared Putin's comments with Zelensky and other European leaders in a phone call after the summit, sources tell ABC News. European leaders say Ukraine must have ironclad security guarantees and that it will be up to Ukraine to make decisions on its territory. Now, 24 hours after the high-stakes meeting, it's not clear what the two sides agreed to, if anything. After vowing to push Putin for an immediate ceasefire, Trump posted on social media overnight that the best way to end the war is to go directly to a peace agreement instead. Heading to Alaska, Trump also said he wanted Putin to agree to a joint meeting with Zelensky and warned of severe economic consequences if his demands were not met. But Moscow claims it wasn't brought up, and Trump says he's not planning any immediate sanctions.
The meeting was a very warm meeting. You know, he's a strong guy, he's tough as hell and all of that.
Look, man, I just want to always share my opinions and emotions, and I know I might look to some of you more conservative guys like a weakling, but this is unbearable, unbearable to me. This physically hurts me. Call me a snowflake. I'm just fucking on. This is fucking hard to watch. Epstein, this guy, the best friend of Epstein, man, is like, oh yeah, man, modern Hitler is a great guy, strong guy, love the guy. This is insanity. And it's like, you know, as children, we always feel like there's a responsible adult somewhere. If you do something wrong as a child, you're like, hey, my parents will fix it. Where the fuck is the responsible adults here, man?
The lingering questions follow an extraordinary sight. After years as a global pariah, Putin stepping foot on U.S. soil. Welcomed with a red carpet, a hearty handshake, and a military flyover. Inside the meeting, Putin asked by ABC's Rachel Scott about ongoing Russian attacks.
Mr. Putin, will you agree to a ceasefire? Mr. Putin, will you commit to not killing any more civilians?
After campaigning on his ability to broker a peace agreement, Trump now says it will be up to Ukraine to reach a deal with Putin.
I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved.
Well, just my opinion, but this guy is a disgrace to every American soldier on the ground during World War II, where the great heroes of America landed in Normandy and took down the fascist German regime. Fucking heroes, man. And this guy is a fucking disgrace. A disgrace, maybe the worst president I've ever seen. There's getting my dick sucked files like Bill Clinton, but this guy seems to be by far the worst president I've ever seen in my life. The facts are stacking up. You can make a 100-page PowerPoint presentation of facts, proven evidence that this guy is a menace, man. And this guy is the leader of the world, of the strongest nation in the world, just shows me we live in a simulation, man. This has to be a big test. This has to be like some big test by God or the simulation. This is unbelievable.
A little bit, but
unbelievable.
It's up to President Zelensky.
It raises the stakes for Monday when Zelensky...
And the saddest thing is there should be millions of Americans demonstrating in the streets. There should be millions in the streets. But they already got us too well. They already sedated us too much with TV and phones and TikTok and fake news, man. Everyone is too sedated now. Thank you, Khan. Thanks for the 5 many. This is... I just want to be honest. This is very hard for me to watch. This is fucking terrible, man. Terrible, terrible.
Will return to the White House since his 10th visit in February.
We will be judged by history for this, man. That how could we look away?
Into a shouting...
The way we judge... post-war Germany, how we judge how could Germany let this happen, how could the Allies make the Munich conference. We will be judged by history here for how passive we were.
Match. So many questions about what was discussed during this meeting. But what we're learning tonight, President Trump hand-delivered a letter to Putin from First Lady Melania Trump, raising concerns about Ukrainian children kidnapped.
For years, they're just talking, but Russia doesn't cave in. Russia doesn't give a fuck. They keep pushing, man. They also have a war economy now, 25% GDP. You need to fucking show... my opinion is, a man like Vladimir Putin understands only one single language. You can't talk to the guy. You can't discuss with the guy. He only stands only strength, and you gotta show strength. And once again, as I say a million times on the stream, are we lucky? Are you and me lucky that the Ukrainians are holding? Because once again, imagine that maniac took Ukraine in 3 days. How scary will Europe be right now? We are lucky, and we owe these Ukrainians. We owe him so fucking much, dude. It's like Poland holding off Hitler, bro. We fucking owe him, man. But yet we're sitting here and our dads are posting on Facebook, no more weapon shipments, man. Fuck it. When did we become such cowards, huh? When World War II was over, we all had nice lives. We got fat and dumb and ugly, bro. And we don't know what the fucking price for freedom is anymore. We all became fucking complicit, bro. It's a fucking disgrace. And sometimes I have this unfortunate opinion, this unfortunate idea that I hope is wrong, that the human race needs a fucking reset every 80 years. Like, we're getting too nice. Everything is too nice. We need a slap in the face to be woken up what the price is of the freedom and the democracy we have. And many people are falling asleep on that shit. And now I read the AfD is currently the top polling party in Germany. Just business,
we
darling.
Begin with
that's a sign. The newest close. They're close. We're very close now that the right-wing party has 1/4 of votes. And I just don't know anymore what's going on. And I have this idea, I have this opinion. I have this opinion like this. And maybe you think you can even prove this historically, right? When times are good, you always have rising tension. People are becoming left-wing extremists, right-wing extremists. There's war. People are getting a bit dumb. And then there's a big, how do you say in English? There's a big cool-down event, like a war, like World War II. Right? And then you have I have to do it actually differently. Like, everything is getting evil and bad, and then you have a war, and then the roaring 50s. The great economic miracle of Japan and Germany, etc. And people get dumb again and don't know, and then, I love Trump, I love Putin, and then the AfD takes over Germany, and you have another fucking big bang. It's like the human race is cursed to do this forever. Like, we have this time of prosperity, which makes people dumb and complicit and stupid. And then you have like a big fucking explosion, a big climax. It's fucking scary, man. This is scary, man. This is fucking scary.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's sweater gained almost as much attention as his speech when he arrived in Alaska for talks with the Trump administration. Eagle-eyed observers spotted what appears...
The problem is nowadays
to be the letters CCCP on Lavrov's sweater, which is Russian for USSR. The letters were partially hidden by a black vest, but some have suggested the reference shows more nostalgia from Putin's government for the Soviet era. In terms of the meeting itself, Lavrov said Russia had a clear, understandable position, and that he hopes to continue the useful conversation.
Oh, man. I just want to be honest with you guys. I can't always be the strong man here. I feel a bit lost in this world. I think most people, millions of people feel like this. It's all going insane, and you feel so hopeless. You feel so powerless, right? It's insanity. But I think it's always important to remember that the world isn't that crazy. In my regular life, I have a lot of fun and joy. I was just on vacation. Everybody was so nice. I feel like every time I cut off news, my life is kind of nice. Everything is fine. People are nice and shit. Not everyone is insane and stuff. And maybe that's a bit important. And I often ask myself when I like philosophize about this shit in my brain, what can we do? Regular Joes like you and me. We're just regular people, you and me. What are we gonna do about Putin and stuff, right? And I think we can't do much. It seems almost impossible. But one thing I came up with lately is what can you do, right? And I feel like even voting doesn't work much anymore. Like in America, voting doesn't work anymore much. And it's so hard to do. But this is something I maybe want to like stand for now in my real life and shit. And I want to get better at and stuff like that. I believe what we could do, the 99%, is to embrace... Here we go. I'm going to sound very polemic and normal here, but is to embrace community again. What does that mean? They always try to separate us. Oh, you're Republican, you're Democrat. Oh, you're brown, I don't like you. Oh, you're white. Oh, you're Nazi. I think one of the first things is to do in small steps is to build a sense of community again. That your neighbor is your friend. That the fucking immigrant serving kebab and not fucking raping people, which is most of them, is just a normal guy that wants to live. That your right-wing neighbor, man, you might be able to fucking still talk to him. And we have to figure out again that we're all in the same boat here. They're fucking all of us, man. Doesn't matter if you vote for Trump or Biden. They will fuck you in the ass, bro. And this is something maybe I want to work with a bit with and get better at, to really embrace community a bit more. And like, we're all in the same boat. We're all the same here. Help each other. Talk to each other. But as I always say, there's also a second Tommy inside of me that's like, wants to give up. Yeah, there's a second Tommy in me that kind of wants to give up. That wants to give up. And feel like I should only take care of my own little circle and everyone else doesn't matter anymore. But it's all crazy. It's all crazy. And honestly, to finish this, the last 2 weeks, I didn't check any news. I was on vacation on the beach with my kid. I felt amazing. I felt so good. I was the happiest person. And now I come back here, TommyKay News, I just want to fucking press the reset button, man.
Of Russia's brutal invasion, Europe has been at Ukraine's side, united, and we will support you for as long as it takes, for just and lasting peace. And this peace must be achieved through strength. Let me touch upon the main points. First,
peace through strength. That makes actually sense, even though she's corrupt as fuck, provenly, but careful, Bo, this is going to be conspiracy theorist, Tommy. There's no way, think about Anza, that Trump and Putin were in a room together privately and only talked about this. There's no fucking way, man. They know stuff about each other. They know intelligence stuff, man. There's no fucking way. They only meet for that. I don't fucking know, man. What happens when you confront Putin?
This is Mikhail Khodorkovsky.
And he's dead now. He fell out of the window.
He's the CEO of the Russian oil company Yukos, and Russia's richest man. And right now, he's at a meeting with the country's other oligarchs and President Vladimir Putin. It's late February 2003. Khodorkovsky's been asked to say a few words about corruption, something that's plagued Russia for decades. But instead of doing what you'd usually do, perhaps blame a few customs officials or a greedy mayor somewhere far from Moscow, he did something else. Something that will cost him everything. He's just accused the president of enabling corruption at the very top of the Russian government on live television.
How are you live, bro? Oh, shit. Don't touch your boxer short, bro.
He did so by bringing up a recent oil deal where the state-owned company, Rosneft, bought a small private firm for far more than it was worth as a way to transfer public money to high-ranking officials inside the Kremlin. And now Putin is furious. Just recently, your company ran into some tax issues, he says, referring to Khodorkovsky's company Yukos, and a rather shady tax issue they managed to sort out with the Russian government. A bribe. And suddenly, Khodorkovsky's the one being accused of corruption by Putin. Russia's richest man has unknowingly made himself a target for Russia's most powerful man. And he doesn't miss. In the months following, Khodorkovsky and Yukos suddenly start to feel pressure from authorities. It doesn't take long for several Yukos-related companies to come under investigation. And one by one, Khodorkovsky's closest allies are arrested, and their apartments and offices are raided. Naturally, Khodorkovsky's friends and advisors beg him to get out of Russia before it's too late. But he refuses to flee. His company Yukos is in early talks to sell a major stake to the American oil giant ExxonMobil. If it goes through, an American company could gain significant influence over one of Russia's largest oil producers. For Putin, that would be a disaster. At around 5 in the morning in late October 2003, Khodorkovsky's private jet lands in Novosibirsk to refuel during one of his many business trips. Suddenly, the tower informs the pilots that they've been selected for a routine check.
Oh, shit.
They'll need to board the plane for inspection before they can take off.
I don't understand people like this or Prigozhin. The moment you fuck with Putin, you run! You get the fuck out of there, bro! You get like an EU, I'm working for the EU now in the military sector. Get the fuck out!
They're then directed to a remote stand away from the main terminal building and told to wait. Then, 3 men dressed in airport security uniforms board the aircraft and move through the cockpit, inspecting the front section of the plane. Just as they're about to leave, the sound of heavy footsteps can be heard from outside. Masked men, armed with automatic weapons, are standing directly in front of the cabin door. And Khodorkovsky knows who they are. Spetsnaz, the most dangerous special forces unit of the FSB, and they're here for him. That same day, Khodorkovsky is flown to Moscow and placed before a judge. As the charges are read, massive fraud, forgery, embezzlement, tax evasion and contempt of court, he simply smiles in disbelief. The court claims his crimes have cost Russia over $1 billion and orders him imprisoned while investigations continue. The prison is notoriously brutal and overcrowded, and many of the inmates suffer from tuberculosis. 8 months later, the trial begins.
The question is, can you really run from Putin? If you look at all these murders, like in Berlin and stuff, right, it looks pretty hard to run away from him.
Khodorkovsky and his business partner are placed inside a cage in the middle of the courtroom. It doesn't take long for them to realise the trial won't be fair, as the judge blocks key witnesses while the prosecution is allowed to present
I feel like this is not shocking. This is not like, oh my god, it's Russia, man, right?
and withheld evidence.
Sounds pretty normal.
And sure enough, a year later, both men are found guilty of large-scale fraud and tax evasion and sentenced to 9 years in prison. At the same time, his company Yukos is hit with massive tax claims while the state takes control of their assets and their most important oil fields are sold to Rosneft. Khodorkovsky's sent to a remote penal colony in northern Russia under strict surveillance and with very limited contact with the outside world. Then, in 2007, just as he's nearing parole, new charges
was shocking since it was early Putin.
Are filed. And 2 years later, he's sentenced to a further 14 years in prison. From being Russia's richest man on the verge of closing a deal with one of the world's largest oil companies, Khodorkovsky has lost a $15 billion fortune, his company, and his freedom in less than 2 years. And with more charges likely to come, the chance of him ever being released are almost zero. But then, in 2013, rumours suddenly start to spread that Putin has new plans for Khodorkovsky. As for Khodorkovsky, you know, I've already talked about this, a decree for his pardon will be signed soon. Out of seemingly nowhere, after his annual end-of-year press conference, Putin suddenly announces that Khodorkovsky will be pardoned. Completely. As host of the upcoming Winter Olympics, Russia has suddenly found itself under pressure over its human rights record. And so, according to insiders in the Kremlin, Putin has decided to release notable political prisoners, including Khodorkovsky. And sure enough, a few days before Christmas, Khodorkovsky is released from his prison camp in Segedja. After having served more than 10 years in some of Russia's most brutal labour camps, he's free.
After being 50 billion worth.
Khodorkovsky was one of the first oligarchs to challenge Putin publicly, but he also benefited from exploiting the same system he later criticised. And it's probably fair to assume that had it not been for his usefulness to gain goodwill, chances are he'd still be in prison. Today, he lives in exile and remains a prominent critic of Putin and the authoritarian regime in Russia.
That is the weirdest glasses
In
I've
recent
ever seen.
years, he's funded independent news.
That is the weirdest glasses I've ever seen. I've never seen glasses like that. Kind of stylish.
Outlets, backed exiled opposition figures, and helped other Russians fleeing
unlocked?
political persecution.
I don't know if he will
One
say
day,
that.
he hopes to return to
political
Russia
YouTuber.
when it's safe and free.
Interesting little mini thing.